we're filming in a new spot because I didn't want to deal with my roommate's cat being a butt, and this is going to be a long video. Sorry, I'm going to move Dex out of the way. You're currently sitting on top of Work Your Way Dex. Also, ignore the laundry behind me. Because I didn't have time to clean. I chose not to clean. Let's be real here. Okay, so I saw Danny Mystic do this tag. Just as I am currently recording this is the same day that Danny posted the video. So, it's very recent in my brain. So, this is the I've got a deck for that tag. And I'm just realizing now that all my decks are stacked in the order that I was grabbing them. So, the decks that I need first are at the bottom. Okay, so the first prompt is, I have my little list here. Favorite movie genre. Now, in the last 4 years, a lot of the movies that I have seen are not because of the genre. In large part, they are because they have a celebrity that I have a crush on. And I think that there's two tarots that I could have gone with this for that course specifically. But I decided to go with the Del Toro Tarot. The Tarot del Toro. Because I like his movies. I've only seen 3. Oh my gosh. I don't know why my brain just decided to blank. Shape of Water, Pacific Rim, and Crimson Peak. And the last 2 of those movies, Pacific Rim and Crimson Peak, both have Charlie Hunnam, who I very much have a crush on. So that's why I decided to go with this deck to represent that. Because I could have gone with the Marvel Tarot. That is my other, celebrities that I have crushes on in movies. Tarot that I have. But I decided to go with this. Because I talk about the Marvel Tarot a lot. Although I realize I also talk about this one a lot. But, I actually am gonna watch a bunch of I made a list of all the stuff all of the movies or TV show. There's a TV show. That are referenced in the majors and the courts. And I'm actually gonna, at some point, probably starting in October, actually, watch all of them. But, because the joke is that I don't watch things unless, one of my crushes is in it, which is not true. I do occasionally watch other things, but in fact, it's a joke in my friend group that I only watch things. And I have my friend group, my family makes this joke too. It's a well-known. So, that's the Del Toro Tarot. I don't know if I showed you the backs. I mean, I've definitely shown the backs on this channel, because I've talked about this deck a lot since I got it, but that is deck number 1. Okay, so deck number 2 is favorite movie. And y'all, I had such a problem with it. I had such a hard time picking a deck for this, because I don't have a deck that fits this movie. I don't. I originally was going to pick a different deck. I was originally going to pick the Urban Tarot, but I'm using the Urban Tarot for different prompts. So I decided to go with the Villains Tarot, which doesn't fit at all. So the movie in question is Troll Frontier, which I would not say is my favorite movie, but I will say it takes up a considerable amount of my brain power. I think of this movie an ungodly amount. I'm not gonna lie. And yes, does it have 2 of my celebrity crushes? Yes, it does have 2 of my celebrity crushes. But it's also just a movie that, I enjoy and can throw on and have read way too much fan fiction of. Thank you very much. And yeah, they're all assholes, but they're my assholes, which is why I picked Disney villains. Because the truth of the matter is that I don't have anything in my collection that is modern that feels as violent as that movie. Because, it is. Not absorbently so, but, all of my modern decks, other than, the Urban Tarot, are a lot fluffier and, soft in their portrayals of, the modern world. I guess maybe show cards of the Disney villains while I, talk. That's maybe a good idea for this channel. But not in the same way that, but the Urban Tarot is too city. Because if you've seen Published Frontier, it mostly takes place in, the woods. And, constantly shrouded, or mountaintops. Very nature as well, but, that softness isn't there. Which is why this is the closest I can get, but, even this it's just because they're all kind of assholes. And they're my assholes, except for Tom. He can go die in a hole. But you know, anyway, that's my Turbo Frontier deck, although it's not really, and I now kind of want to, like, find a deck that feels like Turbo Frontier to me, but I'm not sure that it exists. If you've seen that movie, and you can think of a deck that feels like Turbo Frontier, let me know, because I would love that, genuinely. Because I think of it way too much. Okay, so the next one is my favorite color, and I am a blue girly. And I don't necessarily have a particular shade of blue that I like, but I will say there is something about this. Let's see if I can move this closer. There's something about, like, this dark blue on the Marvel Tarot that I just absolutely love. Sorry, this is not the Marvel Tarot. This is Marvel Oracle. It's also sort of, in all the backgrounds has lots of blues. Because, again, I don't have a particular shade of blue that I like. It's absolutely... Sorry, the window behind me is not doing anything good for the lighting, but, I refuse to film anywhere else, and I'm not refilming this. I am so sorry. But yeah, so the blues in here are immaculate. I love them to pieces. That's really all I gotta say on that. So next is a deck that reminds me of your childhood. And the first thing that I thought of when I heard the prompt was Saturday mornings, my dad making omelets in the kitchen with the TV on, and me and my brother in the living room with the TV on, watching the exact same thing. And we were watching X-Men Evolution, which, if you did not grow up in the 2000s, it's probably not sure you're familiar with, unless you were, like, a huge comic book nerd. But it was an adaptation of the X-Men set in the early 2000s, because that's when it came out. And it very much just screams early 2000s in, like, the best way. I love it. Anyway, which is why I went with the X-Men Tarot. I could have gone with the Marvel Tarot, but I specifically went with the X-Men Tarot. Just because this feels more nostalgic. Because it definitely gives more, like, the 90s X-Men cartoons. Even though, again, I did not really grow up with that as a kid, but there's just something about this that feels like that nostalgia, which is why I got it. But so that's the X-Men Tarot. Now, for a deck that feels like teenage me, I went with the Sastra Beto. And I think that's just because, this is my full size. I also have a mini. And I think that's just because of the absolute trauma that I experienced in my teenage years. And sort of the way that still makes me feel very vulnerable and squishy. In a way that I'm, like, not the biggest fan of sometimes. I will just trauma dump on you. Given the chance. Like, I have no filter or qualms about telling you about all of the squishy in me. And I think that, like, that's something that came about definitely because of things that happened in my teenage years. So I think that this deck really encompasses sort of that for me in a way that I cannot fully explain. Oh, and if you've not somehow seen the backs of Sorabito, these are them. Again, this is my very old copy. I bought this in 2020. It is glossy. I know she has a map, but, like, I can't be bothered. I don't read for anyone else, so. For adult me, I almost went with a different deck, but I decided to put that for a different thing entirely. So, this is the Literary Tarot. And it's not because I read more as an adult. Not at all, actually. I read about the same amount as I did when I was in high school. But I read more diversely. I read classics now. I mean, I did a little bit in high school, like, not really. Outside, like, assignments and then reading Pride and Prejudice. But I think that, like, this is, like, the closest to encompassing the fact that I read more. I own more books than I did, which is kind of a feat. I owned a crap ton of books when I was in high school, but, like, you know, there's something about this, and I'm so sorry, like, the reflecting, the emboss on the gold stamping on this is not doing this deck well in the light that I'm currently filming in, but, yeah, there's just something about this that to me feels like my current adulthood at 27 that, other decks don't, other than Weather Deck, but, you'll see why I moved, and that's honestly the, oh my gosh, what even deck is that? Social Magic deck. But I use that for a different thing, which you will see in a little bit. So next is favorite song or music genre. Y'all, I listen to an embarrassing amount of Taylor Swift. I have been in the top 0.5% of her listeners more years than I would care to admit on Spotify. So of course I then picked the Taylor Swift The Eras Tour tarot. I would say that, like, I don't read with this one as much as I've read with the other Taylor Swift tarot that I have, but this one's my favorite because I love the simplicity of it. I like that I could theoretically just use it as an oracle as well. But yeah, I'm just, there was no question it was going to be this deck when I saw that this was a prompt. I'm not gonna lie, because again, I listened to an embarrassing amount of Taylor Swift, even though I was not able to go to any of the US states for the Eras Tour. But, you know, sad days. Okay, so next is book genre. Y'all, I have become a romance girly. Specifically smut. A lot of Katie Robert is read in my apartment by me. So hence why I'm with the Sexual Magic Tarot. Nudity warning, these are the backs. But yeah, nope. This deck is very, het comp. As a bisexual woman, who, leans more towards sexual preference of men, this deck works for me fine. But it is not diverse in skin tone, in sexualities, whatsoever. Not gonna lie. But, you know, again, I don't read for the people. So, like, you know, would I like a deck that is maybe a little more diverse? Yes. But, like, this is my erotic tarot. You know, would I like to see a more diverse erotic tarot that I like as a deck? Yes. But, this is mine. I quite like it. It gives me the vibes that I wanted out of a rock deck. Because I did spend a fair amount looking at, like, different ones and, like, comparing and contrasting and then going back and forth and, like, hemming and hawing before pulling the trigger on that. Okay, so next is favorite TV show. My favorite TV show is The Newsroom, which you've never seen before. Is about basically like a CNN type network, talking and their sort of coverage of politics and other world events during the Obama administration. I had to think about that. I was like, what? Years right now are a little bit, I want to say the show starts like 2011, 2010, and then goes through like 2014 maybe. Do not quote me on that. But it takes place in New York, and it's about journalism, which is why I chose the Urban Tarot. These are the backs. I should have maybe grabbed a card out of here before but oh well. Anyway, this is heavily influenced and inspired by New York, and does not shy away from, like, the darkness, and is just the deck that felt the most appropriate for The Newsroom, which is, again, my favorite TV show. If you like The West Wing and you've not seen The Newsroom, fix that, because it's, both were created by Aaron Sorkin, and I really just like it a lot. Okay. Favorite pastime. I don't get around to it as much as I would love to, but I am a huge writer in my free time when I have the mental energy to actually write. And for that, I picked the deck that I actually just pull out a lot when I'm pulling cards around my creative work, and that is the Sacred Creators. Could I have picked a more interesting choice? Yeah, but you know, sometimes you just kind of have to pull the deck that this literally comes out a lot in November for me to take on the road when I go places to do, like, NaNoWriMo. I'll typically pull, like, a card from here. I also, last year, was working with Lenormand for NaNoWriMo, just to sort of get vibes, but also, like, ideas sometimes. Lenormand was more for, like, if I didn't know where to go next in the story. Whereas this is more just needing the card to just kind of hold my hand a little bit while I do a task that I feel sometimes is challenging. But yeah, no. So this is the Creators or the Sacred Creators Oracle by Chris Ann, and it is sort of the one I go to for a lot of creative projects when I'm just feeling stuck. Because not all my creative projects are writing, but like the bulk of them are. Okay, so next, sorry, I just knocked over a bunch of things. We have holiday. It's favorite holiday or like holiday destination. And I, of course, just went with a Halloween deck. Now, there was a bunch of decks that I could have gone with. But did I decide to go with Bohemian Gothic? Yes, I did. I did, in fact. This is the most recent edition of Bohemian Gothic. I am so... Oh, gosh. This is not going to show up well. There we go. Okay. I hold it like this. I am so glad to finally gotten hold of a copy of this. I was, like, so thrilled when they reprinted it. But yeah, no, this is... Again, there's a lot of other Halloween decks that I could have picked. But this was the first one that I thought of to grab. But yeah, so that's the Bohemian Gothic for favorite holiday. Okay, so the next one is to represent the decade you were born in. And I struggled so hard because there's a lot of decks that I've seen where people are talking about like they're, you know, being a teenager in like the 90s and grunge and all of that. And I don't have any of those decks. So, as someone who's born in the late 90s, it was very hard for me to, like, think of a deck that I actually had that screamed 90s. And I do not know why my brain was like, Radical Abundance. But here we go. This is Radical Abundance Oracle by Henry. I think maybe because it uses the word radical. I'm not gonna lie. That might have something to do with it. Also, I don't know. There's something about the color palette that also to me just feels kind of 90s. I don't, look, I was, but by the time the 90s were done, I was 3. I have no real, like, deep connection to the 90s, even though technically I am a 90s kid. But I don't know, there's something about this that just feels that way to me, and I can't explain why. But that is my pick for decade. So the next one is your favorite flower. So, my favorite flower was basically determined by my parents when they named it. Because my middle name happens to be Rose. And there was a couple decks that I thought of. And actually let's see. I feel like roses are in here. But now I'm going to check. But anyway, I wanted to pick something very specific, like something that felt a little bit, oh yes it is, haha. I wanted to pick something that was a little bit, I felt like a little bit sophisticated, a little bit calming, and I went with Divine Ephemera by our own Krista at Krista Chronicles. This is the Rose card in her deck with Aphrodite. But yeah, this just to me felt like a Rose deck in a way that I cannot explain, but that just makes sense in my brain. It feels very sophisticated. It feels like just like wisdom. So because the reason also why my middle name is Rose is because both my grandmother's names are Rose-ish. And I'm not gonna explain more than that for, I don't know, saying what that on the internet. But you know, yeah. Hence why I went with Divine Ephemera. It feels like that old wisdom, from generations. It feels sophisticated. It just, yeah, it made sense to me. Okay, so next is favorite scent. Now, I am from the Pacific Northwest. So the first thing that I thought of when I thought of favorite scent is petrichor, which is the term for the smell of rain hitting asphalt. I believe is the exact, don't quote me on that. But anyway, so the first deck that came to my mind when I thought of petrichor was a deck for Wonder Walking. These are the backs. I edged mine in this like blue. Let me make sure I'm pulling it the right way because last one did not. But yeah, I can't explain to you why this deck is the smell of petrichor to me. It just is. I think because it's watercolor, and so it kind of feels a little bit like rain. But yeah, no, there's something about this deck to me that just screams rain in a way that I cannot fully explain. But yeah, that is a deck for window walking. Next is favorite food. Oh, I didn't actually grab this deck. Out. Okay, so while I grab this deck, let me explain to you my thought process. So, oh my gosh, where is it? Is it on the, oh no, it's right here. Okay, so, I am someone that is always, if given, there's 3 foods that if given the option, my answer is always yes. Like, I will never, it's like crappy American Chinese food, pizza, and burgers. And I somehow leaned into pizza, and I immediately thought of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles deck, but I did decide that for some reason the Marvel Tarot made sense for me in that regard, and I don't know why. But this deck for some reason to me screams pizza in a way that I cannot explain, nor will I try. But yeah, no. I think maybe like the idea of like a movie night with pizza, or like, you know, going to get pizza after going to the comic book shop. Like, I don't know. It made sense to me in a way that I cannot explain to either soul. And trying to just feel like I'm talking nonsense, honestly. And then the next one is favorite beverage. And I'm not gonna lie, my favorite actual beverage is Dr. Pepper. But that's not the deck. I don't have a deck to me that feels like Dr. Pepper, but what I do have is a deck that feels like my favorite tea shop. And I think it's because I saw the owner of this deck, the owner of that store, had this deck first. I think it was my introduction to this deck. But it also feels like tea in a weird way that I can't explain. But this is the, oh gosh, the Yaus something. I always forget how to pronounce this deck. And it was a bad job, but it's this deck, and you will definitely have seen it. And if you haven't, I'm just so very sorry. I believe this is the 5th edition. I can't explain why this deck feels like tea. But it does. Like, it's that warmth. It's, you know, it's florally. It just, to me, it feels like a good cup of tea in like an afternoon. And yeah. So that is this tag. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.